Hi everyone, today we're going to be taking a look at my brand new 2020 Democratic ranking. So this is where we rank the top 10 candidates who I see as most likely going to win that Democratic nomination. And so basically today, the people who are on this list, I will give you a hint. It's everyone on this current screen right now, with the exception of Amy Klobuchar and the addition of Tulsi Gabbard. So those two individuals have been swapped. And so you're going to see where I rank each of the candidates in terms of 1 to 10. And I will give you one big hint. There are some big changes this time compared to the last time I did this, which was actually quite a while ago. So yeah, let's just get right into it. And the first slide here, by the way, all these pictures are from the Washington Post, so people can't say you picked a really bad picture of so and so and that's biased. It's just all from the same website, so there's no chance of that. So the person who I think is the 10th most likely person to win that Democratic nomination is indeed Hawaii Representative Tulsi Gabbard, number 10 there. So with Tulsi Gabbard, the situation that I see she is in is that it's hard to really see a path for her unless Sanders falls or unless Warren falls. She doesn't seem to have a clear path on which lane she's occupying. Well, she does. I'll give her that she does have a clear lane she's occupying, but that lane is already filled with many other people who have much higher name ID, much higher approvals than Representative Gabbard, and that, in order for her to break out, yes, she's taken down Kamala Harris, she's taken down Tim Ryan in those debates, and she did damage to both of their campaigns. Mind you, with Tim Ryan there wasn't much damage to be taken, but anyway. But she definitely pretty much ended Kamala Harris's campaign, to be completely frank. And she doesn't have a chance. Both Kamala Harris and Tulsi Gabbard now don't have a chance. But Tulsi Gabbard, we just don't really see a path for her unless Sanders or Warren massively falls. And even if she has a breakout at this next debate, it's going to be hard to see her polling numbers increase. Okay, in 9th place, so that's 10th place, Representative Tulsi Gabbard. In 9th place in this Democratic 2020 rankings, we have none other than Julian Castro. So the thing with Julian Castro is, yes, he has had some media moments, whether they've been good media or bad media, that's not really the point. He has had some moments where he has been in the news cycles, but it's just hard to see, again, a path for him. Yes, he did have a pretty mediocre performance at the last debate. He either had a great performance or a terrible performance, depending on who you ask at that third debate, but so overall it's sort of a mediocre performance. But the real thing with Julian Castro is, how is he gonna pull this thing out? He's barely registering in the polls. He's at 1%. And same thing with Tulsi Gabbard. It's hard to see a path for him, given that he's not many people's second choice voters, etc., etc., etc. We don't see Julian Castro making much of an impact in this 2020 race. Okay, in 8th place, we have New Jersey Senator Cory Booker. So, Cory Booker, the reason why he's in 8th place is so many people were saying, many Democratic operatives were saying, Cory Booker's, not doing too well now, but keep an eye on him because he has a great ground game in Iowa. He's got great name ID in New Hampshire. Keep an eye on Cory Booker, and we've been keeping an eye on Cory Booker. After 3 strong debate performances, Cory Booker has not moved up in the polls. He started off at 3-4%, He slid down to 2%, and he's been pretty much stayed at 2% ever since. He might have had a little bit of a peak after one of the debates, but he did drop back down in the end. So it's Cory Booker has had good debate moments. He's had good press. But the thing with Cory Booker is that he needs to get out of this 2% zone. Once you start to get into 3%, 4%, it's an ongoing self-fulfilling cycle, because once you start that ball rolling, you'll get positive media attention saying, oh, look at Cory Booker, he's going up in the polls, and that will further expedite that process, resulting in even more favorable media coverage. Just look at Senator Elizabeth Warren. So, but if you're stuck at that 2% and you can't find a way to get out of it, it's not looking all that good for winning that Democratic nomination. So Cory Booker in 8th place in this 2020 rankings today. In 7th place, we have a familiar individual to many, and that individual is indeed former Texas Congressman Beto O'Rourke. So, Beto O'Rourke, he has had some... His first debate performance was terrible. It was atrocious. He was getting hammered, and he didn't know how to rebut those attacks. His second debate performance was... I would still classify as poor, but still a vast improvement on his first debate performance. And his third debate performance, where he announced his gun position, AR-15 buybacks, he was pressured into saying, you're riding a Republican attack ad, which he is. This is an unpopular position, which it is, right? But he did it anyway, and I think that showed to many voters that he had political courage, which I think that he lacked, at least in showing in some previous media and debate performances. So, 7th place, Beto O'Rourke. The thing for Beto O'Rourke is that it's still really hard to find a path for Beto O'Rourke. He had that great performance in Texas. Then he waited. He lost all his momentum, and now he's stuck at 2%, just like Cory Booker, and it's hard to see how he can get his momentum back and rolling. Next person in 6th place. In 6th place, we have none other than the number one, member of the Yang Gang, Andrew Yang. So Andrew Yang we have at 6th place, just because we need to look at where he came from. Right now on this ranking, he is beating congresswomen. He is beating congressmen. He's beating senators. He's beating Obama administration officials, and that's the same thing represented in the 2020 polling. In the 2020 polling, and it's going to be interesting given he started at 0%. He worked his way up after like a year, getting up to 1%. Then starting after 6 more months, maybe getting into 2%. Now he's at 3%. Some polls have him at 4%, 5%. One poll had him at 8%, and admittedly that poll was probably an outlier. But still, the point is that we have seen a very successful growth for the businessman Andrew Yang. And so, assuming that this rise continues, which there's no reason to believe it won't, we can see Andrew Yang becoming a force in this field. However, the reason why he's not ranked higher is simply because we need to have a bit more name ID for someone like an Andrew Yang to be getting into that top tier. In 5th place, this is now getting into the top 5. You can probably guess who is in the top 5, but you probably can't guess which order. So the people in the top 5 are in absolutely no particular order. Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, Pete Buttigieg, and Joe Biden. So that's in no particular order. I muddled around the thing so that you wouldn't know who was 5th to 1st, but in no particular order, those are the people. The tricky part is where to place them. I think for many people it's pretty clear who's in the 4 and 5, as in who should be in that tier, and then who should be in the top tier. So the people in the 4th place and 5th place tier are, as you guessed it, Kamala Harris and Pete Buttigieg. But I have placed Pete Buttigieg in 5th place, slightly lower than Senator Kamala Harris. Now, I'm the first to say Kamala Harris has underperformed in this primary. Mayor Pete has overperformed in this primary. But just because someone overperforms or underperforms doesn't mean that they have more chance of winning the nomination. Pete Buttigieg is kind of like that. You would expect Kamala Harris to be ahead of Pete Buttigieg, obviously, given she's a senator from California. Pete is a mayor from South Bend, Indiana. But we have Pete slightly lower just because we feel that after that positive media coverage, and it's a bit similar with Kamala, he wasn't fully able to capitalize on it. And capitalizing on it is the most important thing. Elizabeth Warren has been able to capitalize on her positive press attention. Beto O'Rourke was not able to do that. Buttigieg was not able to do that. And Kamala Harris was not able to do that either after the first debate or when she announced. And it's all about capitalizing on it to propel you into the top tier. And right now, Warren is the only person who's been able to show that she can do that. In 4th place, we have Senator Kamala Harris. So Kamala Harris, she has seen a massive stagnation in the past few months. She hit a high of 15% now. In one poll, she's at 3%, which obviously is not good. To see your poll numbers decrease by 5-fold there, you can see 5 times. Given if you do the math, 15 over 3 is 5. But I digress. So Kamala Harris, everyone was saying Kamala Harris could really win this thing. The Chris Kaliza and all of those people, they put Kamala Harris in 1st place, which was like, oh goodness me. But it's not necessarily the best look when Kamala Harris, she doesn't look like she's going to do all that well in this primary, given she is a California senator. Now I think she's probably aiming for VP slot, maybe for Joe Biden. She sort of ruined it by going after him on busing, which began the downfall of his campaign, but we'll have to see. In 3rd place, we have none other than, you're going to guess it's either Warren, Sanders, or Biden, and it is none other than Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders. So, Bernie Sanders, I did have him in 2nd place in the previous rankings. I've moved him down to 3rd. We think that the other 2 frontrunners here have been able to capitalize on it a bit better than Senator Sanders. But still, I think Sanders is doing still cool. The media narrative is that Sanders is going down very, very quickly. Whereas in actual fact, he's holding about steady. In the last week, maybe dipping a little bit. But other than that, he has held a core base of support at 15% and has fluctuated between 15% and about 22% depending on, the week or the day or whatever. But while it is true in the past week, Sanders has not been doing as well in the polls. Warren has bypassed him. I still think that he definitely could be a force in this race. And even after his heart attack, I think that he will be able to remain a force. But it is definitely notable that Sanders has dropped into 3rd place in the Real Clear Politics average. It used to be the story that Elizabeth Warren, she had just bypassed Kamala Harris. And then she bypassed Pete Buttigieg. And then she bypassed Kamala Harris. And then now she's bypassed Bernie Sanders. And she's right now tied with Joe Biden. So it's going to be interesting to see how this race plays out. In 2nd place, we have for the first time this high in the rankings, this low in the rankings, I should say, is Vice President Joe Biden, followed by Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren. So, Joe Biden is in 2nd place now. Last time I had it in 1st, but he has now dropped down into 2nd place. Just because we have seen this Ukraine scandal really hurt his campaign and his polling, and Elizabeth Warren really able to capitalize on that and able to get ahead of Joe Biden. So that's Joe Biden, and I do feel that this should probably require a bit more time, but I do need to go somewhere very shortly, so we're going to just say that Joe Biden, his polling has decreased a lot in the past few weeks, and it's going to be interesting to see if he can recover. He probably will be able to recover somewhat, but I don't think enough to get him in first place. And in first place herself is Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren. We see her rise in the polls. This is the first time she's in first place, and so she's been able to capitalize on positive press attention, and I think that's very important in a candidate. And yeah, so first place, Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. Thank you. Well, I'm repeating myself so many times, but good night. Thank you.